Good morning, everybody. We are here at World Hydrogen Week in Copenhagen 2025. My name is Enzo Pezone and I'm a consulting manager in the advisory team of S&P Global. Today I'm pleased to be here with Raul Montano, Global Solution Manager at Hitachi Group. Hi, Raul.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Rahul, can you tell us a little bit about what Hitachi Energy is doing in the energy space, and particularly because we are in a hydrogen conference in the hydrogen value chain?
Hitachi Energy is an original equipment manufacturer for power equipments. So we can help the industry to enable the clean and green electron from the moment that they start the planning, they start to put the operations, and they start to do the installation of the equipment. So we can provide solution of what we call grid to stack, from the high voltage grid to the place where you really need the electron at the stack level. So we help to enable the green and clean electron for the hydrogen industry.
These days, we've often been talking about the importance of grid capacities, which is very often one of the constraints for this type of project, particularly when you need to couple an hydrogen project with fluctuating renewable power sources like solar and wind. One other question I would like to investigate a bit more in detail with you is how you help project developers to successfully get to FID or off the ground with the solutions that you can provide.
We start with the planning piece. We start with our consulting part, where our team starts to be an agnostic solution provider. They start looking on the requirements and the needs for the plan. We need to be mindful that today, when we are talking about green and clean electricity, it requires high demand of renewable penetration. So we need to ensure that whatever solution we put together, it will avoid any kind of blackout or difficulties for the grid. So we need to have a stable and compliance grid. Thereafter, we start to look into what are the infrastructure you have, how we could put together different solutions that it could make the project technical, economical, viable, using different tools, digital tools that help us to understand the price of electricity, constraints within the grid, etc., and sit down with different key stakeholders to make sure that we cope all the different pieces from the grid to the stack and downstream processes.
Yeah, that's great. And, one of the key topics you mentioned here as well is renewable penetration in the grid, of course, and potentially one other element that is playing a key role, in stressing the grids in many regions of the world these days, the high demand for green electrons, right? We see data centers, the automotive industry is electrifying, and many other industries are competing with this. Tell us a little bit about how you help clients developing this type of projects to prioritize the flow of electrons for their purposes.
Yeah. What we used to say is that the bigger competitor for green hydrogen is not among each other. It's, as you said, is all the different decarbonization processes that are ongoing. Data centers, mining, metal, oil and gas. And we are doing a big investment at Hitachi Energy to ensure that the supply chains is at the speed and at the requirements that all the different initiatives requires. And that's one of the reasons engaging with companies like Hitachi or other peers, it helps to really secure that the project is going to be having the right setup, right timing, and the right project plan.
Planning, thinking ahead before the project starts are all key elements to get started with, to make sure the grid is not constrained and that the project can successfully achieve FID. One last question. You mentioned earlier when we were having a coffee, you had also a consulting business in Hitachi which helps project developers to make informed decisions. Can you tell us a little bit how it's structured and how your consulting side of the business helps your clients as well?
Yes, naturally. We had big consulting teams that are placed in 3 different locations, in Europe, South America, and in Asia. And naturally, the most important piece is to help the customer and the industry to understand what is their need. If the project is going to be grid compliance, or is it potentially better to have it off grid and create your own microgrid? Where are you going to be your sources of clean electron? And in some cases, as you potentially mentioned in the past, also having backup energy. So we have also a solution that is gas to power. We call it high flex, and it's often also considered as a kind of grid stability decarbonization process for construction site, etc. So really understanding the different needs and purposes for the end use of a hydrogen is of importance, and naturally our team is agnostic, so they can guide the customers all the way through the process until they make the decision which kind of supplier providers they're going to choose.
Thank you for the explanation of your business and your activity. It was really nice to meet you. Thanks everybody from Copenhagen.